Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the IGN Pro League. My name is Total Biscuit, bringing you the second matchup between Spades and StarLife. The first matchup did go in favor of StarLife from Team Complexity Gaming, and what a matchup it was, with StarLife demonstrating some excellent play as well as his trademark StarLife drop. The question is, will Spades be able to come back from that one in this Terran versus Terran slobber knocker, which is exactly what it's going to be, that I can guarantee. The casualties are going to be high, and the body count will be through the roof. Are you ready for it? I am. Let's get it on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shakuras Plateau, which will be the venue for today's encounter. I bring you Spades from VT Gaming. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Terran versus his opponent over to the far right. It's the one and only StarLife from Team Complexity Gaming. He is in the green trunks, and he is also playing Terran. StarLife's performance in the previous game was extremely powerful. Very, very good play from him. And Spades really had difficulty dealing with it. He didn't get any real opportunity to apply any kind of aggression. And really, I think the thing we can say about StarLife's play, which is perhaps the most critical thing, is that he denied his opponent that expansion on the gold minerals the entire game. What does that mean? Well, it means he doesn't have as much cash as his opponent. It's really as simple as that. No need to overanalyze it. And then it just was a case of StarLife continuing to attack and pushing his way in there. His force count was always larger than Spades, and Spades just got into a position where he simply could not win. And once he lost that expansion up to the corner, that was it. StarLife going with a very, very heavy mechanized approach that time around. Big mix of siege tanks and marines, pretty much equal in terms of supply. It was about 45 marines to 15 siege tanks, so it was a good play by StarLife, and it seemed to work very well. His positioning for the most part was pretty much spot on. Admittedly, there were a couple of errors that Spades very easily exploited. Now, let's have a look and see what's going on over here. Spades with the barracks coming up right now. Nice and quick right here on the refinery, starting off before the barracks finishes. It's not uncommon, not by any stretch. Does want to get that rolling, whereas his opponent actually hasn't built one yet. So are we going to see another expansion early on from Spades? Certainly a possibility. Will StarLife be able to exploit it early on? Spades' defense was really, really great in the first 10 or so minutes of the game, and Spades is known for a strong early to mid game. His defense was really solid, and honestly, I think we're looking once again for that expansion from Spades. He'll probably go into a second supply depot while he's building his marines, and then he'll pop down a expansion down there. That would be my prediction anyway. He might not, but it's most likely considering he's gone with a zero gas approach, and StarLife has seen that. There we go, spotted one. I believe he also saw what was going on over here, so he will expect this, and the question is, how will he respond to it? Will he apply any early aggression, or will he simply try and keep up with the economy of his opponent? Here comes the command center from Spades. Marines on the way up for both. StarLife just keeping an eye on things. Did Spades manage to get any kind of scouting information? A minimum amount, certainly. Another factory coming up for StarLife, so it looks like we're going back into what he did in the first place. That's a 1-1-1 build, whereby he gets a barracks, a factory, and then a starport. And that should enable him, considering the amount of gas he's got right here, I think, to go into a Banshee harassment, if that's what he's looking to do early in the game. Always a possibility. This is a pretty good map for it. Lots of attack vectors, lots of places you can go in. And, of course, it makes sense to Banshee harass any opponent that tries to expand this quickly, because usually that means they will not have the units to defend both mineral lines. This early on in the game, they have a very, very small unit count. In this case, Spades only has 3 Marines right now. At least he will once this one completes. So it's not ideal to defend against Banshees, especially not if there's a couple of them attacking both mineral lines. You can always easily pick off a couple, and since he's gone up against a Terran player who will not have stim at this stage, he'll be easily able to pick off a few of those units. Starport coming up for StarLife right now into a tech lab. Banshee harassment almost a certainty right now, and he's got the gas count for it as well. His gas is actually looking extremely good. He might even end up going into Cloak for the Banshee as well, considering how much gas he's got available. Spades is not aware of any of this, of course. He's been unable to scout since that initial run, whereby he spotted a single barracks, which revealed nothing to him whatsoever. I have to wonder if he even spotted the... Yes, he did. He did spot the initial gas, but that's still not enough information to accurately divine what's going on. That's the thing. Even the pro players, they're not... It's not Professor Xavier right here. You just can't do it. You can't read minds. Into the cloak he goes. You cannot read minds. So there's only certain things you will know. Based on, say, seeing a barracks early and a refinery. I mean, everyone opens up with a barracks at that time anyway. A refinery, what are you going to learn from that? Very little, honestly. Very, very little. And also bear in mind that Spades just put down a scan which discovered nothing more than a second refinery. He didn't see a factory, he didn't see a starport, and StarLife was actually very smart because he moved it there. And wow, Spades forced to use a second scan very, very early in the game. That's quite critical, actually, because that's 2 mules that he can't deploy. So that's about 500 or so minerals that he will not get in the time that he otherwise would be able to. A calculated decision from Spades, unfortunately a necessary one, and StarLife now, I would say, already with a slight advantage as a direct result of that. Expanding behind there, if we have a look at the income count, it's actually in favor of StarLife, if you can actually believe that one right now. He has 1 more harvester than his opponent, and StarLife's already managed to deploy a Banshee on the field, and we'll keep an eye on it and see how much damage it can do. How well guarded is this area? Well, Spades is ready for a harassment this time around, at least he will be soon. Missile turret coming up in here, missile turret coming up over there. The Banshee will get there before that missile turret completes, I would imagine, or will it? No, he won't. Oh, so very close. A couple of seconds earlier, we could have actually prevented that, but it would have been easily built by another SCV anyway. So, right now, the Banshee harassment might not be all that effective, and it's unfortunate, actually. I wonder if StarLife actually cancelled out of Cloak there. He did, in fact. You can see how much gas he's got right there, and no, he did complete it. Never mind, he did complete it. That's actually really unfortunate, honestly. It really, really is, because those missile turrets are going to prevent the use of Cloak for that kind of thing. So, that was an early investment that really isn't going to pay off all that well for StarLife right now. He will be able to use them, however, in a forward push along with his units, so I wouldn't discount them all just yet. Right now, Viking on the field for Spades to try and deal with that Cloak Banshee. Cloak Banshee needs to start leaving this area right now. It's out of energy. Not going to be able to really do anything with that. StarLife keeping an eye on things, and he does have tanks on the way. He does have siege tech on the way as well, and a couple more reactors coming down, so it's going to be transitioning back into his older build. He's really doing the same as what he did last time, which is to go into Marine Siege Tank. Although this time, Spades has managed to keep a handle on his economy, and is now starting to gain the lead as a direct result of having 2 orbital command centers. StarLife has only just got one of those, so Spades has had a little bit of an economic lead over this game, and should be able to start getting his economy rolling quite nicely. More barracks coming down right here. Tech lab on there. Reactor coming down right there. Little bit of attempted harassment by that Banshee, trying to snipe off at least something, but he's doing very little with it right now and draining cloaking energy consistently. So I'm not entirely convinced by that approach. We do have a Raven coming out for Spades as well, so I suppose that's a little bit of a victory maybe for StarLife, that he forced the construction of a Raven. Raven's not all that cheap. As you can see right there at the bottom of the screen, 200 gas being invested. It's a lot of cash, folks. It really, really is. But the Raven will prove to be useful in certain regards. Bear in mind that StarLife doesn't tend to go for anything really that would be deflected by a point defense drone. Obviously, point defense drone doesn't stop siege tank shells, it doesn't stop bullets, it stops missiles, it can stop marauders, it can stop Banshees, of course, and Vikings. But I don't expect Banshees to play a big role in StarLife's strategy going forward. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, his initial attempt to do anything with Banshees failed really to do an awful lot, although he did gain some valuable scouting information with it, and he kept his Banshees alive, which I think is perhaps an even more critical thing to bear in mind. So more harassment can be done, assuming his opponent decides to expand again. And also, he should be able to use that as part of his push forward, and using the cloak in that as well. That's a good idea. It will force yet another scan from his opponent, depending on whether or not he brings a Raven along with him. Bear in mind, Ravens can be shot down quite easily, so it's still a little bit risky nonetheless. Now, the unit count is looking pretty similar right now. However, StarLife does have the advantage in terms of Marines. He doesn't tend to go for a lot of upgrades. He does have Stim, however, and he's going for Combat Shield as well. No sign of level 1 weapon upgrade for him. In fact, I don't think he even has an engineering bay. If he does, I certainly didn't see it. No, he does not. Command Center, he's looking for another expansion right now. Initial engagement as he walks straight into a line of tanks from Spades. Not a particularly good idea. StarLife needs to leave immediately. And also taking a little bit of fire on the medevac. Nothing he really needs to worry about. Missile turret coming up as well. So StarLife is going to be sort of forced to camp out in this area. Although, considering his position, he does have map control right now, so it's not critically bad for him. Absolutely not. He's got control of the Zelnaga towers, and once again, was that another scan going off? Spades really is throwing out a lot of scans right now, which is kind of hurting his economy a little bit. And bear in mind that every single scan takes 50 energy, which could have been used on a mule. Sensor Tower coming up for Spades. He is sitting down for the long haul. A little bit of a sit-in, a camp-out, whichever you prefer at this particular line. And Sensor Towers starting to become more popular. They were really, really unpopular at the start of the game, but a lot more Sensor Towers being used to gain information on the positioning of your opponent. And actually in a Terran versus Terran, that's really important, because you want to know exactly where your opponent's tanks are. Look at that. You see deployment right there, you see the groups, and you can also then estimate the range on them. And since you can't see through these bushes in the middle, it's so important to know where your opponent actually is. In the meantime, StarLife deliberately moving out of range of those siege tanks, and more to the point, out of range of the sensor tower. So he concedes a little bit of map control in the process, and Banshee's going to get sniped off right here. Oh, nice escort here by the Raven. Will the Banshees be able to get away? More to the point, it's looking very unlikely. Might take out one, might even take the second. He needs to split off. StarLife needs to split off that Banshee immediately, but it looks like he got away. Raven slightly slower. Oh, look over the interception. Will he be able to get it? Here's the detection, and he gets the one. Oh, nice play there by Spades. Excellent interception, grabs one. He loses the second, but still very, very good indeed. Personally, if I was StarLife, maybe I would have broken off one of those Banshees and gone in two separate directions to have forced the opponent to try and chase either one or the other. But there you go. He managed to get away with one nonetheless, so it's not too critical. Now, that's nasty little jungle surprise that StarLife's got going on here. Not the kind of thing you want to run into. Another scan there by Spades. And looking for drops right now. Spades a lot more confident in this particular game, as far as I can tell. Going for aggression, going for harassment, getting in there for drops. StarLife really getting his economy rolling, though. He's in a good position right now. Not quite as good as his opponent, simply because of the number of mules that's come down. But once he's managed to finish this SCV transfer, he will be doing pretty well. Spades is already rebuilding right here. The question is, where are those drops coming in? We did see two loaded up. Where are they? Where, oh where, oh where? There they are, folks. However, StarLife is a sneaky individual. He deliberately puts Marines in places where he's expecting drops to come in. He is a masterful Terran player. He is already well aware of what his opponent's doing, and he'll be able to move to fully respond to that. And actually, as a result, since Spades is well aware, his opponent knows that he has drops coming in. He's deliberately decided he's not going to go anywhere near that, and defenses would be ready. He does have siege tanks and Marines ready to intercept anything that comes over there, and a missile turret to try and shoot them down as well. But there you go. StarLife perhaps looking for another expansion quite soon, and he is starting to gain an economic upper hand over his opponent. He does have a harvest account advantage, and he also has now 3 orbital command centers. Not bothering with a planetary fortress right there. Although with the attempted harassment of Spades, it wouldn't surprise me if that would be kind of useful. However, the economy of StarLife is looking really strong right now, and he doesn't really have too much to worry about. Once again, another expansion coming in from Spades. He doesn't know about this one, but he perhaps has to expect it at this stage. Once again, another scan used by Spades, keeping an eye on things. And Spades does have quite a lot of tanks, honestly, but then again, so does his opponent. If we do a direct force comparison, actually, Spades has a slight advantage in terms of numbers. He also has air superiority, which is quite important. StarLife with a scan of his own right now. Keeping an eye on things. I must say that Spades' lack of Marine Shield is a little bit disturbing right now, but he has almost got it complete, and I don't think StarLife's going to want to go in anytime soon. His full force is not actually at the front right now. Spades with a huge army streaming forward. A quick deployment by StarLife. Will there be a scan here by Spades? It could be helpful, certainly. He is almost within range, running right into it. That's a critical misstep. Spades getting a lot of damage brought down on him right now, and StarLife doesn't really have the numbers, but he was able to get a couple of initial salvos off that really reduced Spades' effectiveness. The entire Marine force annihilated right now, and that's problematic. However, in a tank war, of course, Spades will win due to sheer weight of numbers, but still, that was very damaging for Spades, and it didn't have to be. If Spades had actually scanned forward there, then he would already have awareness of that, and he wouldn't have run right into that trap. Something to keep an eye on, folks. Also keep an eye out for drops. Not really seeing any right now. No harassment. Quite surprising, really. These players lack a harassment on either player right now, going for this long drawn-out war of attrition in the middle of the map. More shelling coming in, however, StarLife with a good box formation right there as his tanks get deployed, and immediately takes a huge amount of damage in the process. Oh, 2 tanks annihilated there. Nicely done there by StarLife, and again, Spades kind of caught out of position there, which is not ideal. Sensor towers coming down once again. trying to keep an eye on where the opponent's positioning is, because this is what this is going to actually come down to. It's a war of attrition and a war of position. Redeploying, and StarLife actually doesn't have the visibility right here. That's a real weakness in his strategy. Doesn't have any forward Vikings. Of course, air superiority in the hands of Spades. That's 3 tanks annihilated, and looks like a 4th for the cost of only 1 there for Spades. Hero Marine almost takes him, but his compadres will be able to move in and deal with that. Once again, a little bit of engagement going on right here. However, StarLife is deploying and ready to go, and Spades needs to evacuate immediately. Salvo's coming down, and they are not getting out of there alive. No way. Sensor tower deployment for StarLife is also giving him some great awareness of what Spades is actually doing. Still keeping an eye out on the minimap for drop attempts. There really is absolutely nothing right now, but StarLife is breaking out the fusion core, folks. Oh, yes, I love this approach to dealing with these long, drawn-out ground wars, is to break out the battle cruisers. A great idea. They melt Marines, and they also take siege tanks out at a nice pace. And Spades doesn't really have a huge Viking count right now, so it's not all that risky for StarLife to go for that approach. And there are Vikings on the field for StarLife as well, so that's not really worth worrying about if I were thinking, well, maybe my battle cruisers might be shot down. Right now, the upper hand is firmly in the favor of Spades. He knows what he's doing. He's got his economy really rolling, and he's starting to edge map control away from StarLife right now, which is a little bit problematic. StarLife has really won so far on the basis of his excellent map controls, especially in the previous matchup, where he was able to deny that gold mineral expansion to Spades. This time that is not happening, and Spades is creeping across the map very, very slowly. Here comes the drop. Marines coming down out of nowhere, and actually StarLife not really prepared to deal with that. Loses a siege tank, loses a second one into the line right now. Does he have the units he needs? Spades actually has a lot of medivacs to defend that, and this could be critical right now. StarLife forced to stream backwards, and I have to wonder if this will cover an advance right here by Spades. Once again, oh, that was not good at all. Free siege tank right there, and another one taken out. Spades clearing up right now, and StarLife finally able to push it off, but that was an incredibly effective drop, and in the meantime, he took a little bit of an opportunity to edge his way forward just slightly. No sign of battlecruisers coming up for StarLife as of yet. He does have the ability to do so. I have to wonder, one, where he actually placed that. He placed it down there. It is not being scouted. That is critical. He needs more starports in order to pump them out at a good rate, however. He does have the gas, certainly, to build a battlecruiser. One is on the way. Needs to look for the second one. StarLife using a command center to have a look around by the looks of it. And to be fair, I don't really blame him. There's no point in having it hang around doing nothing. He needs to move out to this area, so there you go. Might as well use it for a little bit of scouting information in the meantime. Unfortunately, it's taking Viking fire. It will be on fire very, very quickly, and I'm afraid tanks will not do anything to that. It is on fire. However, there's the interception. StarLife has air superiority right now. He's taking full advantage of that. Takes down another Viking, and that could be a free medevac for him as well. StarLife needs to fix that up pretty rapidly. The building is on fire. It is rapidly losing health. A mule drop would be able to deal with that very quickly. In fact, he should be able to build an SCV quick enough, so I wouldn't really worry about that for him too much. And StarLife keeping an eye on his opponent's front line. Tanks-wise, we are looking at 17 versus 17. However, the battlecruisers and the Yamato cannon are coming onto the field. What is Spades trying to do right now? A little bit of a drop, not a huge amount, but he should have... oh, wow, that's a lot of shelling range. He might even be able to kill the starport. He's not focusing on it, however. A battlecruiser is on its way out. However, one battlecruiser probably won't be enough. So very close to killing the starport before the battlecruiser comes out. Another siege tank taken out. StarLife evacuates that battlecruiser immediately. Those Stim Marines would be able to cut through it fairly rapidly, especially since they have +1 weapon upgrade, and they're almost... actually, they're on +2. Never mind. That's StarLife's upgrade count. So, yeah, that would shred it. That's not too good at all. And actually, I think StarLife needs to really look into getting some armor on there. Try and take the battlecruiser. Battlecruiser melts so fast, as you would expect, with that many stimmed Marines, with that many upgrades. And the battlecruiser is really only going to come into effect now once he starts to get some armor units, or he masses a sufficient number. The shelling wall, the artillery going on, the scorched earth strategy of these two guys is happening right here, and StarLife gains the advantage because of the amount of visibility he's got. Point defense drone goes down. In the meantime, Spades will look to clear out. Viking takes one out almost immediately. He can wear out the energy of that point defense drone pretty fast, however. There it goes, down it goes, and the shelling will recommence right now. However, Spades is slightly out of range of his opponent. More shelling coming down right here. However, StarLife does have a numerical advantage on that particular front, and he's actually gaining in terms of his tanks right now. 17 versus 14, and his unit count in terms of his Marines is even higher as well. Looking very good. Spades is being forced to concede ground, and that's not good for him at all. He had good map control. He doesn't have it anymore. Upgrades-wise, they're currently equal. However, Spades will gain an advantage in that regard. 4 starports coming down for Spades right now. That's interesting. More Vikings coming on the field, perhaps expecting the incoming wave of battlecruisers, which actually isn't arriving right now at all. StarLife starting to gain the advantage now. Look at that. Look at that. Armory and 2 engineering base starting to stream out upgrades. And Spades would appear to have stopped in terms of his Marines at 2-0 in terms of the upgrade count. And yes, StarLife does have an upgrade advantage now. Level 1 Terran infantry armor, looking for level 2, looking for level 3 infantry weapon as well. And in the meantime, here he comes with yet another drop. And he brings some siege tanks along for the party. That's not good for Spades. Everything will get gutted or will at least be forced backwards. Spades, however, should be able to redeploy and deal with this fairly easily. Will StarLife use this to cover in advance? Yes, he will. Spades getting caught out immediately as StarLife's tank force pushes forward with the Marines not able to cover it. Now, all of this drop will be annihilated very rapidly here by Spades. However, Spades is forced to pull back almost immediately. Here's a deployment, and Spades able to defend against this quite well. However, the numerical advantage firmly in favor of StarLife, and he cleans it up quite easily. Spades is in trouble, no question about that. No defenses right here. That's just a shooting gallery of SCVs if he wants to take it down. One orbital command will be gutted immediately. Here comes the tanks from the rear. Looks for the repair. Does he have the numbers for it? He actually might. He'll hold. He will actually hold this. So many SCVs repairing it, and those Marines were gutted as a result of that nice defense there by Spades. Very good indeed. And the Marine count of StarLife is actually looking really bad, having lost 2 major drop forces right now. Spades looking to get his economy back in check. It is lagging way, way behind StarLife. That is a critical thing to keep in mind. Here comes the shell again, running into it. That's almost suicidal. However, he's able to overwhelm in terms of sheer weight of numbers. The second wave is behind him, however, and all the Marines were annihilated by the shelling. This is pretty tense right now, honestly, and I would still give the upper hand to StarLife, and once that upgrade comes up, that's going to be so critical. Level 3 infantry armor on the way, level 3 attack ground weapons for the tanks, good lord. Those tanks will do a massive amount of damage, and bear in mind that splash as well, that's huge. In the meantime, Spade sitting on an empty economy. Is that? It is a behemoth reactor. One of the rarest upgrades in this entire game coming up right now for StarLife. Half of you probably don't even know what it does. It's actually starting energy for battlecruisers. And the thing is, Spades is building battlecruisers right now. 3 on the way up. That is interesting. It really, really is. I have to wonder if he'll be able to mass enough for them to deal with it. He's able to clear through the front line, try and regain map control. However, StarLife is mobile and is hopefully ready to deal with that. There's the deployment. StarLife gets the deployment off before Spades. Not good. So many tanks murdered so rapidly. Oh, wow. The level 3 weapons of those infantry really coming into play right there. That was huge for StarLife. And Spades forced all the way back and out of position. His army count is looking particularly bad right now. It is not a good situation. There are battle cruisers on the field. However, they are also coming up for StarLife as well. And he has Yamato cannon. That's a lot of damage he can inflict right there. He could bring that down on the battlecruiser. Could be a battlecruiser duel coming on right now. That would be awesome, but I don't know. I don't even know if Spades is going to be able to hold the line. Of course, he'll try to do it with battlecruisers. Forward they go once again, and the thing is, StarLife is prepared for that. He did get the scan off, looks for the deployment. Marines are going to have to focus fire on this almost immediately. They're getting melted very rapidly. However, the ship weapons have not been upgraded, and the battlecruisers aren't able to do enough damage against the armor of the Marines. They take 2 out with almost no losses. Excellent play there right there by StarLife, and Spades on the ropes right now. There's no question about that. Runs into the tank force and right into the only remaining economy of Spades right now. That's 1 base annihilated. Will StarLife be able to hold his rear guard? He will. No problems for him whatsoever. In the meantime, of course, those battle cruisers are on the field right now for StarLife, and I have to wonder if he'll do anything with them. He will not, because Spades gives it up. Well played by StarLife, and he advances right here with a stellar and masterful display of marine and tank warfare. Congratulations to him. He advances, and unfortunately for Spades, he's now out of the Season 1 for the IGN Pro League. We'll hope to see him again in future tournaments. However, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Total Biscuit. This has been a stellar Terran versus Terran matchup right here for the IGN Pro League, and I will see you next time.